today we're going to talk about the void. And it sounds scary. Not scary. Not scary at all. I want to talk about this concept. And then I want to do karma cards with you and share that message. So first I want to start with what I'm calling the void. But you could also call it the womb or the chrysalis. And they all mean the same thing. So we're in a time right now, or you could call it quarantine maybe, but we're in a time right now of the womb, chrysalis, void. These are all terms for a space in which a creation happens. And the reason I want to point this part out today is because if you're looking outside of you right now, outside of quarantine at the outside world and saying, what is the creation, right? We're trying to figure out what's going on. Has it solidified yet? What's the final result here? We're not going to find it. Not right now. And I know that can cause a sense of anxiety, but my team reassures me that we should be excited about this and use this as a time of creation because we're in the womb, metaphorically speaking. We're in quarantine, but we're in a sort of stasis. And in quantum physics, it's called the void, the no thing. We're in a no thing moment. And this is where antimatter exists. This is where all the material is present, but nothing is created. So my team points out to me, they say, Therese, when you look at the womb, is the womb the creation or the baby the creation? And I said, well, the baby is the creation. They said, that's right. So if you're in a void, if you're in a chrysalis, is the chrysalis the creation or is the butterfly the creation? Butterfly, right? And when you're in a void, is the antimatter the creation, or are particles and matter the creation? All right, so we're in this space right now where it's the holding space, it's the container of creation right now. We're in a void space. And so if we're looking outside of us for show me the creation, show me what we've made, show me what's here, we're going to keep kind of hitting this wall where we see no thing happening. Or we see wheels turning, we see parts moving around, but we're not seeing a finished product yet. And my team keeps reassuring me. They said, look, we would not change this for anything. This is a magic moment. This is the moment of the creator. So this is the space, the container in which a creation happens. And this is the moment of the creator. And they keep saying it's in your hands, meaning each one of us individually. It's in our hands right now. We are making the creation, and we all have energy to supply to what comes next. We all have it. And so, the formula that keeps coming up, that they keep asking me and everyone who are we're all getting we're getting this in our own way. We're feeling it. It's coming in. It's being interpreted however we're interpreting it. But they're saying, look at everything. Look at it all. Observe the past creation. Observe what's been created. Observe what's being offered as possible creations. And then feel how that sits with you. How does that sit? What are these offerings? And for so long we've been trained to see ourselves as like pawns or victims in the sense of there are other bigger beings, other higher powers creating for us, right? Different systems that have been created that say, hey, look, we make the rules. You can vote them in, but we're making them, right? And all of this is coming down. All of this is crumbling and falling apart so that something new can be built. And we have this very specific moment of what's called self-sovereignty, where you understand that in reality, what you are is a self-governing being. Now, this thought might not be new to you, that you might have already understood this thought. You might be following teachings that show you this, show you that you are When they say made in the image of the Creator, that's what that means, a self-governing being able to create at will. So that might not be a new thought for you. It might be a new thought or a new way of looking at something that is making you feel very uncomfortable, because it's kind of, we've sort of been taught to adopt the stance of, who am I? That's being too big for my britches to think that I could have any say in how anything plays out. Right? And I'm not talking about it from any other level than a spiritual understanding of the being you actually are. And the more that you learn to expand your view of you, right? So if we are only identifying with the physical body, if we only identify with the personality, if we only identify with our past experience and our future wants, we are limiting our ability to understand what we are. It's only once we start to get aware or mindful or consciously aware that there is some part of us that is observing our own life. It's not in it, it's watching it. And we have both the awareness of what I call the character or the hero, the hero's journey, or the writer of the story. We hold bilocational awareness. So take that in for a moment. If you've ever done meditation, if you've ever done personal growth work, if you've involved yourself in a spiritual development journey, you've discovered this part of you that is observing your life, that can literally step out of the storyline and watch. A part of you that can literally step out of the thoughts in your head and observe them. This is a greater part of you. And when you have the awareness of both the hero of the story as well as the author, you become what's known as bilocational. Bilocational. All right, this is very important to understand, because suddenly it's like you can choose what POV you take, right? If you are going to invest yourself emotionally into a space and let something else tell you what the story is, or if you're going to pull back, right, and practice the art of discernment and practice the art of emotional detachment. Now, I'm a very emotional person. I'm a Pisces moon. Like, you can't get more emotional than that. And so that the idea of emotionally detaching has always made me feel a bit uneasy, but this whole experience is definitely a master course in understanding that, because if you let yourself get attached to any one storyline, you feel like you're being dragged behind a car, like it's taken off with you attached to it. Where emotional detachment doesn't mean that you don't have feelings or love or concern or care. It simply means that you're not letting that story run away with you attached to it, right? And in meditation, they teach this. It's like, I love this. So Andy Cohen of Headspace has a great video on his app that shows this process, right? What you see is, he says, imagine you're sitting on the side of a freeway and you're just watching the cars go by, and the cars represent your thoughts. The idea is to observe the thoughts. This is the emotional detachment part. We observe the thoughts as they go by, when we're not trying to jump in the car. And as soon as we let a thought take us away, right, we've jumped in the car. So we're always trying to get back to the sort of the side of the road, and we watch each thought go by. And that's what that emotional detachment with mindfulness. So it's not a cold place. It's simply a place where we are not being dragged around by a story. So bilocational. I have the awareness of my hero. One of the metaphors I like to use for this one that's powerful to me, gets right to the point. Hero's journey, author. Harry Potter, hero's journey. J.K. Rowling, author. Being in both of these seats is a bilocational thing. So you can join into the story and get emotionally involved, but then you forget that you wrote it. right? You can stay out of the story and be emotionally detached, and then you can sort of watch it play out. But here's the thing, we have to be bilocational here. We have to be that way. We don't get to totally opt out. If you could totally opt out of humanity right now, you wouldn't be physical. You wouldn't be here physically. So it's a tricky stance to learn that in this space, you are a sovereign being who has the ability to step completely back and observe what's going on and start writing a story. However, you also signed sort of a spiritual contract, if you will, to be human right now and play the part. So this is an advanced school, by the way, where we are. This is an advanced state of being, is to recognize that you are both this greater entity and yet you have a part to play. And I feel that the message right now is understanding that this is a critical time for this understanding of bilocation. That you are being asked to regularly step back and think about the creation you want to see. Not what you're afraid of seeing, and not what someone else is telling you is going to happen. What do you want to see? What do you want to see happen next? And so we really do have to practice this stepping out of the storyline and simply observing it for what it is, observing what is trying to co-opt our attention. And see, there's people out there who don't have our best interest at heart, who get this already and have used this information against us for a long time to co-opt our attention. Co-opting. Those who want power, those who want control, use this information, this very true information of your ability to create and be in the story. They are co-opting it all the time. Look at this thing. Be afraid of this. This is terrifying and it's going to happen, right? Look at this other thing. If this doesn't happen, this will happen, right? And it's all these stories, all these cars driving back and forth that they're encouraging you to jump into. And the reason why is because, as I've said before, we are magnificent creator beings who have bilocational ability. We're powerful, more powerful than we understand, and it takes years of spending time thinking about this to wrap your head around how powerful you are. There are those that understand this and want the power and control have already understood this part, and they're definitely trying to co-opt the energy. And so, but it's backfiring. It's backfiring on them right now because they've given us so much time to think. They've left us in so much uncertainty that it's actually causing us to really think about what life is, what it means to us, what's important to us, what we're willing to fight for or stand up for or own, right? Your rights, your sovereignty. It's given us a lot of time. And it's given us time to ask questions that we were too busy to ask before. It's a beautiful grace period. And that's why my team calls it the void, because nothing is happening yet. We get time to sit with this. And the longer we sit with it and think about it, the more, we start putting two and two together. The more we start questioning what we're looking at. Naturally, because that's what humans do. And the fact that you're a sovereign being, meaning self-governing, and a creator, you're a creator. Suddenly, that part of you that is always aware of these qualities, this sovereignty, the creation, the observer, or when you have time, when you have time on your hands, you start hearing that part of yourself. And it stops the hero part, the hero's journey has paused. You can't really do anything right now. It's kind of like a video game sort of on pause. And so without that distraction of fighting this or fighting that, people have a lot of time to consider what the creation is, and they're just not buying it. People are not buying what something smells fishy, and we don't necessarily have answers. but we're not sitting around taking this anymore. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing so many people reclaiming their rights. And, this is playing out on so many levels. And I don't feel like my job is to tell you what's right and what's wrong. Who am I? I feel like what I'm here to do is to tell you what I'm considering, what I see, what's going on. So yes, I am definitely not coming to you from a place of authority or telling you I have any news that you don't have. No. What I'm coming to you from is this place that I get woken up every morning super early now. It's almost like it's not my choice. And I like to sleep, okay? So when I have to get woken up early, I have beef with the non-physical team and spirit who's like, wake up, it's time to talk right now. And every morning it's the same thing. The same mantra goes through my head, and it's this. I know that the highest timeline for the good of humanity is happening. I don't know how this happens. I just know it happens. That's the first thought in my head in the morning, every morning now. And I want to break that statement down because I've actually written it out. I posted it to my Instagram, but I want to tell you what this means and why it's powerful to me. I am stating, it is a declaration of my intent. That's the first statement. I know. And so that's a decision, by the way. So they've shown me what 0 point energy looks like, about when a manifestation happens. There has to be there's a nexus. And at the point of the nexus is called 0 point. This is where creation happens. When a creation happens, there's a 0 point field. There's a nexus that happens. And it sort of looks like one of those L-shaped graphs, right? We've got the line of longitude and latitude going. And at the weakest point on the long line of feeling, okay, the up and down axis the vertical axis is a feeling state. At the weakest point is hope. And this is not a bad thing, by the way. Hope is better than no hope, okay? But it's like, God, I hope this works. But you can feel with hope that you're not sure. And it doesn't feel like it's in your hands. It very much feels like it's out of your hands. Deeper into the feeling axis, as we get more creative energy, we go, I think this will work. Still in your head, right? Still, it's not as potent as going further down. It's a lighter sensation, but it's got more potency than hope. And then all the way down at the most potent point, at 0 point, is I've decided that this works. So feel that. I want you to feel that for a second. This is where we create from. I hope this works. I know this works. I've decided. When you hit decision about anything you want to create, try to stop you. I want you to take a moment here and think about something in your life you've manifested because you decided it was happening. Maybe you decided you were going to school for something despite what other people told you, or maybe you decided it was time to have kids or time for a divorce, or what. Think of at some point you made a decision that was very distinct to you, and it was like, I'm buying a new car. I'm buying a house. I'm remodeling. I'm just trying to think of examples. You made a decision about something. I am getting better at this, or I am healing from this, or just it doesn't matter what it's about. What was important was the feeling, was a decision. When we decide as individuals what happens next, try to effing stop you. Try to stop yourself. You try to stop it. You can't. A decision is a clear turn on a road. That's the feeling axis of creation. The horizontal axis, if you will, of this little L chart that they showed me, is where you're giving the power. Okay? on the weak end is externalizing the power. Either somebody else has the power, or you've externalized your higher source, whether it be God, the universe, source energy, whatever you call it. You pray to it, right? It's outside of you. You hope they hear you. So whether it be another entity or your source or whoever it is, it's the weaker point of power is externalizing it. Anything that you put outside of yourself, you've externalized, and therefore it weakens the signal. It weakens your energy. When you move to 0 point on the scale of empowerment, you move internal. The 0 point is internal energy. This is where you identify the power source inside. This is where you recognize the path to God, source, universe is internal. It's through you. It's inside. It never left you. You never left it. You've always been connected. Always. When you recognize that and then you decide, instant. It's like it's done. So be it and so it is, right? It's amen. Alleluia. It is done. So, but feel how powerful that is. And without judging yourself, how comfortable are you with that power? How comfortable is that to adopt? I'm going to be honest with you. For a long time, it was not comfortable for me. I could decide, but I was still asking something outside of me. It took a while to really feel okay with saying, the source is inside me. Like that was like, like something will smack me on the back of the head if I say this out loud. There was that feeling. And you know what? That wasn't, interestingly enough, that wasn't really taught into me. I was given a lot of leeway as a child in personal belief and spirituality. I was allowed to seek a lot of spiritual knowledge at a very young age without restriction. So where did that come from? And I feel like it is a trained belief. It doesn't matter where it got trained in. Because if you recognize that source is within you, if you recognize your sovereignty, you cannot be controlled, period. And it's become very clear we are in a controlled state. And I mean controlled state as in globally, not as in like locally. So something has been making sure that all of us get the message that there's a power source outside of you. And that's the thing that you need to ask permission from. And if we start to venture into the sacred space of ourself, into the heart, that feels dangerous. And so most of us have this knee-jerk reaction to feeling like that's egotistical. That is getting too big for my britches, right? That's not okay. Just not okay. That's a knee-jerk response that we have. And yet, the truth being that as soon as you identify that you are the source of power, meaning that source runs through you, God runs through you, that you're a channel of that you're connected to that, as soon as you recognize that, and as soon as you, creator being, decide what you want to create next, nothing can stop it. This is your true state, and yet it feels subversive to even think about it. So that's an interesting point that comes up. I remember listening to Marianne Williamson talk. I was 15 when I started listening to her speak. And she was teaching on A Course in Miracles. And I remember her likening us and our relationship to Source or God or universe, whatever you want to call it. She likened us to the sun. Okay? We're one sun with many rays coming off of it. And here's a ray called Therese, and here's a ray called Caitlin, and there's Luann. But we're all the sun or the ocean, and every wave is sort of a fractal of the ocean coming up and making its unique dance. Like, look at me, I wave this way, and look at me, I curl that way. Still all the ocean. And that I believe ever since I've held those thoughts, I knew they felt true for me. And so why couldn't we create the life that we want to see? If we are all the ocean, if we are all beautiful waves that ripple off the ocean but are still connected, why couldn't we create what we want to see? So again, the statement I make every morning is, I know that the highest timeline for the good of humanity is happening. That's that first part. So there's my declaration. There's my statement. I know. I could even make it stronger and say, I have decided, which would be probably even more potent if I changed that. I have decided that the highest timeline, meaning the best result, the best outcome for the good of humanity, is happening. It's already in play. The next part of the statement is, I don't know how it is happening. Now, this part is the part where we have to surrender, and surrender is the part that is scary for a lot of people. What I want is what I get to declare. How it happens, that's where I hand it off to my higher power. How it happens. So we are a creator being, but we're still connected to a higher creation. And that one has the bird's eye view. And when we understand that, remember when I told you about bilocation? Character or hero's journey self, observer self. When we hand off the creation we have decided to a higher power, we trilocate. Trilocate. I'm experiencing this world. I've decided what I want from this world. I hand it over to a higher self. Boom. Trilocate. Trifecta. The Holy Trinity. The body, mind, spirit. Right? All three pieces activate, and then it is done. The higher self, that is your third point of focus. It's a trilocating, meaning you can experience life from now all of these levels as soon as you let go of the how and hand it over to your higher power, who has the bird's eye view, who can see the whole map, including the pieces you can't see from these 2 points. When we hand that over, we have to go into that higher space of trust and surrender. And then the ending statement is, I don't know how this happens. I just know this happens. So again, that goes back into sealing the statement with trust. I don't know how it happens. I'm giving that over to you. I just know it happens. Statement of trust and faith. So every morning, getting woken up and told to say this statement, and then I'm being asked to consciously picture the world I'm asking to create. They wake me up every day and they're like, what is it you're creating? Because without you getting specific, and that's not saying that my specific outcome will happen, but without me giving creative input, I'm leaving it open to interpretation. Right? Open to other influence. So they ask me, be specific. What is the highest timeline of humanity, for the good of humanity? What does that look like? And so I go into the specifics. I go into all beings are ultimately free. First one. All beings are ultimately healed. All beings are ultimately nourished. Right, so and then I get into even more specifics. What does ultimate nourishment look like? How do we get food to everyone? Everyone. What does that look like? How do we give power, meaning the power to, power your home to everyone? How does everyone's basic survival needs get taken care of? These are the questions that they ask me. And they ask me to now imagine that. What does that look like? And we want control when we're afraid of what could happen. that this is where we can have compassion for those who would try to control us. And I know some people might be like, oh, hell no, I'm not having compassion for that person. But hear me out. The ultimate healing of this time period, the raising of the vibration and a graduation point in consciousness, if you will, is when we integrate all. We integrate all, meaning even those that wish to oppress us, we find a way to integrate. And again, we're not being asked to be perfect or saints or allow people to abuse us. We're not allowing that. But what we can do is understand that when we find in ourselves the need to control something, we must ask ourselves, where does that feeling come from? I'll give you a personal example. This is one that was sort of like an aha for me the other day. We have a steep driveway and there's a hidden corner where you can't see cars coming around the corner on my driveway. And I have a 5-year-old son. And he's constantly trying to assert his independence, as 5-year-olds do. And he wants to run up the hill, not hold my hand, just take off running up this hill. And I'm constantly afraid of that because I've been in my car trying to come up this hill and had a car nearly hit me a couple times because we can't see each other. So this little 5-year-old running up around this blind corner is a bad idea. I don't see a good ending to that. So what's activated in me is fear. And what do? I'm like, you get back here right now. I get really firm, angry, hold my hand, and he's fighting and all of that. But notice that what I immediately recognize is my need to control the situation. Why? Because of the fear of what could happen. And fear is very strong, and it instigates an immediate need to control my environment and those around me. So as I recognize that tendency in myself, I can look at those who would wish to control others, those who would wish to control me or anyone else, and I can see, what must be ruling you is some horrible fear. Now, what it is, I can't pinpoint completely. Only that they're afraid of possibly what we would do with this creation if we recognized our own power. They wouldn't be in the seats of control anymore, right? We wouldn't put up with certain things anymore. And the resources would be more freely shared, which means that they would have technically less than they do now, and others would have more. It would balance itself out. Are they afraid of that? Maybe. But all I know is that the desire to control it comes from a place of fear. To surrender to your higher power means that you trust it and that you are not in fear of it. You believe it has your back. Right? My higher self, source energy. One of my other favorite mantras is, the universe has my back and conspires in my favor. If you believe that, it gets easier to hand over, to surrender the control. And again, this is not about perfection and going, I just have to say that and now I trust everything, right? I trust that they got it. It's a practice, though. It is about asking that higher power to make the how happen, and continually going back to that place where you trust what you've asked for. You trust what you've prayed for. You're trusting that. And it's a practice. I mean, prayer, meditation, all the good stuff in life, it's a practice. It's not a done deal because we do have free will. We can change our mind at any point. Look, if you decide one day, I'm going to buy a new car, it's pretty much a done deal unless you change your mind. And I mean, really go, you know what? No, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not going to do it. You have that out. You always have that out. It's the same here. So that's why we're being asked to practice asking for what you want. Practice that vibration. Continue to go back to it and refine it. And when we do that, you know what we're not doing? We are not letting somebody else's storyline run our head. We are not letting our creative ability and our thoughts get co-opted for somebody else's benefit, somebody else's agenda, if you will. When we're spending that time, when we're practicing coming back to what we pray for, what we're asking for, what we meditate on, we are occupying that space in our mind. And that's called, again, that's self-sovereignty, self-governing. This is what I decide I'm spending my energy creating. Free will, absolutely. Free will is a law of the universe. A law of the universe. So nothing's going to... There's people who try to take that, but they can't ever really do it. They can't do it without our consent. So you know what they do is, and I talked about this in a post the other day, they use what's called implied consent. So they have to kind of put the plans in front of you. They don't have to tell you all the details, but they do have to get you to look at the plan. And if you do nothing about that plan, you are saying you're okay with it. And that's implied consent. You didn't say yes, but you didn't say no. And they've pulled a lot of shit on us using that tactic for a long time. You didn't say yes, but you didn't say no. And anybody who's done personal growth knows that stating your boundaries is a healthy act that we must do. So while we are focusing on that which we create, we also say, and none of this BS. I don't consent to this. You have that right. You have the right to say no. And the more that you assert it, right, it's the more that you claim that sovereignty, the less ability they have to pull crap on you. It's important that we all understand that this point is a creation moment. You're in a bubble of creation. And the messages that keep coming through me, that I keep feeling, is it's so powerful to own that now. We don't have the luxury of doubt anymore. So now is the time where they're like, every moment counts right now for you and me, for each one of us. Every moment counts. And it's about the quality of thought and what you allow to run your thoughts. The people who I look to right now and think about, the words I think about in these moments are people like Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, someone else. Dr. Viktor Frankl. These people have been through really, really hard times. They have experienced total and complete loss. And yet all three were exemplary examples of creating reality. Dr. Viktor Frankl, the one who wrote the book about the power of meaning, right? The power of meaning, giving a time or an experience meaning, which helps give you sustenance. He lost all of his family to concentration camps, 3 different ones he went through. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for how many years? 27 or more years? Completely stripped. Now this man, Nelson Mandela, is a great example because he found the thing that we're being asked to look for, which is compassion for those who would imprison us. Viktor Frankl found the same thing. Compassion for those who would do such harm against humanity. These people found compassion. And what they both realized is that they were weaker and more scared than them. The ones who seemed to be interned, imprisoned, abused, found more personal strength than the ones imprisoning and abusing. And they found that compassion, that, man, to do this, to do what you're doing, you must be terrified of something. And in that space of seeing it, they found compassion. And these are people that we should be looking at, researching, and looking up, not because our fate is like theirs, but they're showing us the way out of imprisonment. They're showing us a way out of a mental prison, a mental construct. these three men that I spoke of, they truly found freedom. And once you are truly free, nothing can imprison you. And, I'm here with you. I am learning to understand this. I am learning to identify where I am holding my fear. I'm learning to identify what I perceive as the threat, or I perceive as the one threatening my freedoms. And I'm learning to look at this person and say, wow, what does it take to do this? And not with a sense of judgment, but with a sense of like just wanting to understand, what does it take to be this? And so many more answers have come. This karma card reading is for April 15th through April 20th. And for those who have yet to play karma cards, these are really simple to do. I've got 2 sets of answers. I've already asked the team. Messages have come through. You can see I've got red, those are action, and blue is outcome. And how you play is you simply decide if you need action right now, an action-related answer, like what should I do next in this 5-day period, or if you want blue, which are sort of like outcomes around this 5-day period. And of course, if you want both, you can type in both. So you put red for action, blue for outcome, or you can put in purple or whatnot for both. While you're deciding that, I'm going to tell you the flavor of this reading. The flavor is Venus, a very good planet to have, in Aries, where the sun is right now, in the 7th house, and this deals with partnerships. And all kinds of partnerships, but co-creation. Co-creation is the key word for the 7th house. All right. For those choosing red or action, your spiritual action is cherish your willpower diplomatically. That first sentence feels like it kind of ties into everything I was just talking about regarding creation. So cherish, love your willpower, your decision-making ability diplomatically. And that simply means recognize that you're co-creating. So we're first to remember that we are creator beings. And remember, others know this. Those who would wish to control you know you're a creator being. You're a commodity because of it. Your thoughts and your feelings help create a reality. There's no question about that. The only question right now is whose reality do you want to create? Someone else's or yours? Okay, so cherish your willpower diplomatically. The second part is you're a creator being who's co-creating with a bunch of other great creator beings, making a sort of a super creator, if you will. So cherish that. This is an exciting time. It's a very exciting time. Even though scary, exciting, it's kind of like we're on the roller coaster. Mental action at this time. Enjoy what you think you know about relationships. That's a funny way to phrase it. Mental action. Enjoy what you think you know about relationships. I love that because it's kind of playful and tongue-in-cheek. Like, this is what you think you know. Which all I hear is all I'm asking as I hear this is, well, what do I not know? And then I just kind of get this sort of cheeky response in my head. This is that moment to really appreciate what you do see, appreciate what you do know, appreciate what you witness. Yeah, there's more, and I get the sense that it's like ... So there's going to be more to it, but the first action is just simply appreciate it. Appreciate what you see and know about relationships. Physical action. Charm, art, and beauty are the way to do it your own way and get a fair deal. Throughout human history, the truth of humanity has always come out through the arts. Because the arts, and I mean all forms of art, are a direct channel and expression of source energy. Direct. Right to the point. So whatever it is you need to express right now, whatever's coming through right now, they're saying use that creative spark in you to do it your own way and get a fair deal. Right now, it's like we're being asked to finesse a little bit. Sometimes we're being asked to be bold and take a direct action and a stance. But with Venus being involved, she's like, there's a little panache you can add to this. There's actually more creative and artistic energy that can be applied here. And, many times through journaling, poetry, art, dance, music, in any of these ways, there's so much music going to be written about this time that we have yet to hear. So much music. I know you guys can feel that. This is going to be an epic time of the muse for a lot of artistic people. It already is. And you can use some of that energy yourself. Whether you identify as an artist or not, doesn't matter. You have artistry within you. So they're saying express through that. Whatever comes up for you is beautiful. Let that come through. And that's how you get the fair deal, right? Because it's just self-expression. Even though it's expressing the absolute truth. Hey, good to see you, Diona. Even though it's expressing the absolute truth, when it's done in a way of finesse, it's hard to see that as a form of dissension. You know what I mean? Oh, thank you so much. All right. So let's get into outcomes. I have a feeling, I haven't read these, but I have a feeling we've got good news. Good news. All right. So for those who choose outcome in Venus in Aries in the 7th house of partnership and co-creation, your spiritual outcome is the attraction of energies to meet the challenge of balance. This is another moment where I wish I had a microphone so I could just be like, boom. Let me say that again. The attraction of energies to meet the challenge of balance. How many people are feeling the challenge of balance right now? How many people can feel that the pendulum has swung so far one way and it's coming back another way? Which is, again, a very good feeling, but it's also sort of wild and challenging in itself. It's a little bit like the roller coaster of like, oh my God, I could throw up or be having the most fun. I haven't quite picked how this feels yet. Do I throw up or do I scream? Yay! Right, that's the challenge of balance right now. Another thing that my team's been saying is that you have a shield of light around you. You are every one of us who chooses to acknowledge it are surrounded by your non-physical friends, your ancestors. You are surrounded by those who you love who've passed on. You are surrounded by your guides, angels, and ascended masters, your higher self. And what I felt, and let me know if you feel this too, is almost like they're leaning in closer. Has anyone else felt this? What I mean by that is that the non-physical, those in the non-physical, are actually leaning into our astral plane. And for those who are like, what? If I just said that and you went, what? What I mean is, here's the physical plane. Physical plane. When you go to sleep, astral plane. When you leave your body, astral plane. That's the plane right above this one. Right above it. Astral plane. There are many dimensions above that. So the reason why I said they're leaning into the astral is because they're not hanging out just above this physical world. They go way out. Okay, there is a lot more exciting places to go in the non-physical than hanging out above the earth, hanging out above the physical realm. No, that's kind of like it gets boring fast as a non-physical entity. So they don't hang out there a ton. They come like to visit, they come to say hi, come to have lunch with you in your dreams, do stuff together. But then they go back to higher realms because There's just more there, more exciting. Right now, though, this is the point in time where they're leaning in and they're right behind you. And what they want you to feel is a shield of light. And the people that you love and know, the people that you talk to who've passed on, they're right here. Okay. You could like almost put your arms around them. They're that close. And they're not going anywhere. They're not going to save us, right? Something in the non-physical, they can't sweep in and save us. No savior is coming. No rescuer is going to do this because we already signed up. We are the hero. Okay, the hero does it. But they'll be right there. And again, I have to reference Harry Potter because right when at the end, he gets to see his family, right? All the people who passed on, and they promise him they're right there. Do they do the work that he has to do? Nope. But they are right there holding the space and protecting him. You've got that too. We all have it. And if you can feel it, right? Don't you have like the tingles? Aren't you getting the full body, like, woo, that's them. So again, the attraction of energies to meet the challenge of balance, those higher beings are leaning in close, and that's what we've attracted. The mental outcome at this time, pleasure from your desires regarding cooperation. Aha, right? Cooperation makes it happen. Does anyone else remember that from Sesame Street? I still sing this song. It's been my whole life I've sang the cooperation makes it happen. And I sing it to my little kids who have never heard that song, but they even sing it now. So pleasure from your desires regarding cooperation. Cooperation is the path of service to others, meaning when we pray for everybody, when we're holding space for others when they can't, when we're doing the things that are showing love and affection to our fellow human beings, we are acting in a cooperative state. When we recognize and respect that other beings are creating with us, other humans, and their creations might vary from ours, even those who are offering a very different creation. When we recognize that we're all one group, right? And that we're even asking for the healing of those who would harm. Again, not allowing harm, not making harm okay, simply asking for them to be healed, because truly they're the ones who are going to need it the most, right? When we do that, waves of peace, waves of appreciation, waves of positive, high vibration frequency come over us every time. Your physical outcome at this time, good times resulting from the honesty and strength of your partners. I feel like what comes through when I think about this is holding the best intention for everyone. At this time, we're going to see a lot of people asking for different manifestations. We're going to see people that we really love. I mean, really love these people with all of our heart, asking for something maybe opposing to our own creation. And what we have to understand is that this is not coming from a place of fighting or wishing you harm. This is not coming from a place of wanting to sabotage at all. It's simply them honestly asking for something from the perspective at which they see it. And if we can hold that appreciation, that love that we know about other people, regardless of if they see it our way or not, hold that love. Remember who they are. Remember your friends, your family. Remember those that you love and see them in the light of love. And understand that it doesn't matter what they ask for. Hold them in that high frequency of love and appreciation and let go of the need to get them to see it your way. And I say this just as much to me as to anybody else because that's a scary feeling. See it my way, or else we're all doomed. That's a feeling that we get. We don't need to do that. It feels good when that happens. It feels good when we are all seem to be on the same page. But there's going to be a lot of moments right now that we're going to look like we're on really different books, right? We're going to be like, what book are you reading? Because that's not what I see, right? Hold the space of love and appreciation for that person that you already know. And let go of trying to control the point of view. Let go of trying to control what they create, and surrender. Trust that as long as they're asking for the good of something, whether it's make this thing happen or don't make this thing happen, forget that part. It's the good that people are asking for. It is the help that they're asking for. Focus on that and remember that you love these people, and that from whatever perspective they're seeing it at, you can be at peace with that. Doesn't mean you have to agree. Doesn't mean you need to get them to change their mind. There would be a lot of peace in us. There would be a little more security if people agreed with our perspective. But this is not a world where we get one perspective. This is a world of multiple perspectives. So we must let this go, that there's just one point of view. We're not going to get that. And until we sort of make peace with that, we're fighting with people for the wrong. There's no reason to fight. There is nothing to fight. And until we open the mind and honor and remember, oh my gosh, I know you. I know your vibration. I know who you are. I fell in love with you a long time ago. That's what we focus on. And when we do that, we end up experiencing good times resulting from the honesty and strength of our partners, because we remember who they are. And we're not getting caught up in some agenda. So I'm putting that out there. I hope that's helpful. I hope these cards speak to you. I hope that, they give you a sense of strength and hope. So, more than hope, knowing. And maybe even speak to your desire to understand that you're creating something powerful. And you matter so much. Create, go dream, go see your astral family, and know that I send you so much love and light, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.